Hi, my name is Cherie and I'd like to welcome you to your cybersecurity training session. I work for a company called Data Trust and we are a leader in cybersecurity and I work in the cybersecurity division. I'm a junior cybersecurity specialist. So we'd like to welcome Indigo Community Services and Health Hub. This is your personalised cybersecurity training session. So today our aim is to inform you and empower you. We are passionate about introducing new technologies, new methods and procedures and different policies to help you achieve a better security position when we are talking about cybersecurity. When you have the right tools, it's always easier to identify and rectify problems or issues. So one of the first things that we'll have a look at today is disk and file encryption. So encryption is a method used in technology to hide or change the accessibility or the true meaning of the information which is being sent or shared or saved. So basically codes will scramble the information and the person who is the intended reader then needs a decryption code or password to unscramble the information and change it into its readable form. So when a PC or a laptop is password protected, it doesn't mean necessarily that the files are safe from unauthorized access. Unencrypted hard drives can be removed and booted through a different device, and thereby giving the person doing that access to the files and information on it. So that brings us to two different types of encryption: full disk encryption and file-based encryption. Now, full disk encryption refers to the whole hard drive being encrypted and unreadable, which means that files, data, operating systems, which would be running on the hard drive, would all be inaccessible or encrypted. So this is generally used to secure the asset, for example, if it is lost or stolen. So making backups, making sure that backups are happening on a regular basis is very important to ensure the security of the files should corruption occur or should a crash occur. Another important puzzle piece to this is making sure that encryption keys and passwords are stored safely, because once a full disk is encrypted, no one can access it without the proper credentials or passwords. Now, file-based encryption is another type of encryption, and this refers to a single file or even multiple files being encrypted for file sharing purposes. So this makes file sharing over non-secure protocols like emails safe. Passwords and keys shared to decrypt these files should never be sent in the same email. Obviously, that defeats the purpose of files being encrypted. So I'd like to do a little bit of a demonstration for you on how you could do file encryption. So I'm working on a MacBook, which is an Apple device. So I've installed something called Keka. So once you have this, you have different options. So for example, I have a file. We can open that file right now. And inside, it's just got some text. All right, so that's saved on my desktop. Now this file I would like to encrypt for the purpose of this demonstration. So you'd need to add a password. For this purpose, we might just make it test. The file is put into the encryption, and then what you'll see is we've actually received another file, and this one says zip. So it's kept the original file, and then you've received a new file. You can delete the file after compression if you choose to do that. So this would be the file that you then send, and obviously the password needs to be shared. Now when you want to unencrypt this file, you'll drag it back into Keka. This pops up and a password is needed. So when we type in test, which is our little password, a third file has been created. So this one you can see the name says File Encryption Demonstration 2. So this is the unzipped file or the unencrypted. So that's an easy example of file encryption. Now we'll talk a little bit about multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication gives you a second layer of protection. So if something like your password is compromised, you're still not entirely exposed. So as an example, when logging in, you usually have a username and a password, and that gives you access. Well, with multi-factor authentication, there is an extra layer, a key or a PIN perhaps, which could arrive as an SMS to your phone. Having multi-factor authentication implemented makes it so much harder for the cyber criminal to steal your information and start a cyber attack. Multi-factor authentication is so effective, in fact, that it's part of the Essential 8, which is the strategies to mitigate cybersecurity incidents. So this is the Essential 8 that you can see here. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, to prevent attacks, they use application control, patch applications, configure Microsoft Office macros, use application hardening. Limit extensive attacks is restrict admin privileges, patch operating systems, and multi-factor authentication. And then the third layer recovers data and system availability, and that's daily backups. So that just gives you an idea of how multi-factor authentication fits into the Essential 8. Now, the three most common types of multi-factor evidence or knowledge factors are things you know, things you own, and things you are. Now, I've added in location because that is another one which is sometimes used. So examples of things you know would perhaps be a PIN number or your password, perhaps a personal answer to a security question, or your username. Things you own would be a mobile device or an iPad, a phone, a physical one-time PIN token, perhaps a software certificate, a mobile app which generates a one-time PIN, an SMS, email, etc. Now, things you are, examples of this would be biometric scans like fingerprint scans, iris scans, etc. Location would be your geolocation and IP source. So while needing multiple examples of a single factor does increase security, this is not a multi-factor. So if they ask you for a password, a personal answer, and your username, those are all things you know. So all three come out of the same authentication type. So it's a good idea to have a mixture of those types. All right, so we're going to do a multi-factor authentication demonstration on how to enable and use multi-factor authentication. For this demonstration, we're using a Hotmail account. I'll just open up our screen a little bit if I can.